I would suggest in the future that if your students want to do musical shows, have someone qualified direct it. There is a choreographer who has worked at your school. He is a musical theater graduate. He is primarily a dancer, not a musician. I know that Larry asked him once about being a musical director. The choreographer himself knows he's not qualified to do that, but has suggested we work together. He doesn't care if Larry directs the non-musical scenes, but he wants to choreograph with rehearsed music, not slop. I, of course, will not even consider working with Larry again, but this musical theater graduate has taken acting 1, 2, and 3. He is qualified to be the acting director. Maybe not as much as one with a master's in acting, but infinitely more than Larry can perform the duties of musical director. And probably better than he himself could perform the duties of musical director, although he could do that still better than Larry since he's a musical theater graduate. And he won't prevent others from doing their jobs. And I'm not trying to get a job at your school, gentlemen, trust me. We're a long way away from even considering that, but I'm just saying, think about your students and your school's reputation. When people hear these stories, they can't believe that your students don't know something is wrong. I was flabbergasted when everyone kept singing at my last rehearsal, and kept doing so until they lost their voices. I couldn't believe my eyes. In hindsight, I should have stood up, stopped what was happening, directed the students to not ever try to sing over a rock band without microphones, told them that I was going to report this, and then called Mr. Perkinson at home. I didn't talk to any of the students about any of this during rehearsals, as I thought it would be inappropriate. But I did have 3 short conversations with Lily, as I presume she wanted to be the stage manager so that she could learn about the production of this here rock opera, so that she could learn about the process, what it takes to put a show like that together. The first time I asked simply, "How do you think the rehearsals are going?" She said, "Fine." Or something to the sort, maybe even great, I don't know. That scares me. The state of education in the arts, I never thought I would see it sink this low. Then, during my last rehearsal, she came up to the band and asked if we could play quieter, because she couldn't hear the cast. I told her the cast could not sing on top of a rock band without microphones. Again, no reflection on her or any of you if you didn't know this and think Larry must know what he's doing, as you have a right to believe. But she quoted him. It sounded like she was little Larry Jr. "Oh, we can't have microphones. A sound engineer told us we can't possibly have microphones." This is very disconcerting. And when I showed up at opening night, not wanting to run into Larry, and fortunately caught her outside, I asked her to make sure Larry announced that it was a misprint. She told me that this had gone to the papers before I quit. She didn't seem to notice that it said, not that I was the accompanist or the pianist, but the musical director. We can see what Larry thinks a musical director is. Just a title that doesn't actually mean anything. You can just throw in any name. And the one who is responsible for the music being good, but not allowing the person to do the work to make it so. They just got to pull it out of their ass, because it ultimately doesn't matter how bad it is. I asked her if she knew why I left, and she said it was because Larry and I had a difference of opinion in how to run the rehearsals. While I'm trying to get her to retract the statement that, trying to get her to get Larry to retract the statement that I was the musical director, she's thinking it was a difference of opinion, while it says in the paper I was the musical director. Larry And therefore, Lily, since she was there to learn about the process of putting together production of an opera and was learning from Larry, doesn't know what a musical director, the most important job in this type of show, is. That is unbelievable. Equally disturbing, and making me wonder if Larry's lack of ethics is rubbing off on your students, or if she thinks body mics somehow aren't microphones. I find it mind-blowing that she didn't even seem to remember that the very last words she spoke to me before this conversation, with me asking if she knew why I left, were, "Oh, we can't have microphones. The sound engineer told us we can't possibly have microphones." If I cannot get an explanation of all of Larry's nonsense, I would like to see his resignation, as well as a promise that he will never, ever again have anything to do with any of the arts or education, as disrespectful as he's been to both of them. Further, as he has proven himself such an unethical businessman, I'd like to see a promise that he will never again allow himself to be in a position of authority where he is in charge of hiring, firing, or paying. But I'm a realistic and reasonable man, and I know there are politics involved. So, let's just say, if he continues to direct musicals, the public has a right to know what's going on. All the musicians need to know at the very least. I have a responsibility to my colleagues. I don't ever want anyone to go through what I've had to go through as a result of working at your school. I also want to negotiate my pay to keep this from going any farther, to keep it out of court. I think if I had to explain all this to a judge, or even a little bit of it, even one or two examples, it could cause quite a lot of embarrassment for your school. Here's what I suggest. Obviously, I need to get paid at least $510 for my hours. I would like to hear your idea of any good faith offer you have for the other $490 and for Greece. I have been advised that if I pursue payment legally, I can include charging for the many, many hours I've spent trying to recover this payment. The $55 I missed for the lesson that I canceled to rush to your school on opening night and demand that Larry retract the statement that I was the musical director, and lawyer and court costs. But the most important thing to me, as of now, for my peace of mind, is that we set the record straight. Money is just money. I do need it, but we got to set the record straight. I need to know that after going through such great lengths, that finally my voice has been heard.